We are on our last page of our digital portfolio tutorial series. I have our mock-up pulled up here, and let's just go ahead and run through this before we jump into coding this page out. I have this set up in our developer tools in Google Chrome browser. The first thing you're going to notice at the top of this page is we have a YouTube embedded artifact. The showcase page is all about you showcasing things that you're proud of in your high school career. So those might range from science projects to English projects, social studies, programming, whatever it might be. Showcase it so that people know how awesome you are. The top one, like I said, is a video artifact. It's an embedded YouTube, so I'll show you how to do that. And then following that, below that is a graphic design artifact with a nice large image and then a description to follow. And then on the very bottom, we have our very similar, like you've seen before in our other tutorials, a smaller version of featured artifacts that you can click on with smaller images to click on those artifacts. So you have 3 different ways to display artifacts on your page. How you lay this out, I'm going to really leave up to you. I'm just giving you the 3 different methods or 3 different means for doing so. So if you want to experiment with this on this page, you should do that and give it a shot to make it more customized to your liking. So we're going to break this up in sections again. So we're going to start with the YouTube embedded part first. So let's jump in. I'm going to tab over to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to open up our showcase page and locate that section where I need to put in that content area, and I have my paragraph fillers in there, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those out, and let's get started. So we're going to open up a left caret, and this is our main class main, like you're used to. We need to add that second class to that same one called top, so it spaces it below that fixed header so it doesn't get hidden underneath. Right caret there, enter return, delete, so it brings it back to the same level. Move your cursor up and then tab in, and then bring back our famous div class row, the one that we've been using quite often here, and then hit the enter return key a couple times. Move your cursor in and then tab in as well. We are going to use that same image container to contain the iframe of the embedded video. So I'm going to go ahead and type in div class image container. And then I need to go to that embedded video. I'm going to go to YouTube to do that. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the other tags that I need for this section. So I need a title. So I'm going to use an H3 tag and then a paragraph to describe this artifact. So I'm going to place my cursor after that last closing div tag there in that image container that I just created, and then hit the enter return key, and then H3. So this one's going to be, I'm going to just name this a possible video artifact. And then underneath that, place my cursor at the closing of that H3, enter return, and then left caret P. And then I'm going to use some lorem ipsum filler text to represent that description of that artifact. So copy and paste that in there. Okay, so I'm going to toggle over to my browser. I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. And I'm going to toggle over to my browser. And I have, again, this was our mock-up, but I have a YouTube video pulled up. And in fact, this is the last tutorial that you just finished in our series. And what I want to show you here is how to essentially embed this video and then also to resize it. Now we did this in the previous series with one of our internship video pieces, but we're going to need to make a slight adjustment to this one because this one will be a little bit larger. I'm going to come back to our example here, and what you're going to see is you'll see the video up here, and it spans the entire width of our page. And I forgot to limit that width in the mockup. So I want to address that in this video. I want to actually limit the width of this video so that it's not spanning the whole entire width of that page. Because if we make it larger, it's going to really stretch out and make it look really funky. So I wanna change that. So I'm gonna pop back in here and I want to show you how I'm going to change that. And the reason why I'm kind of going through all this. When you click share in a YouTube video and you get the share options and you click on embed, we're going to copy and paste this iframe. But one of the things that I want to point out before we do this is that it gives us a width and a height in line in this code. And we need to remove that, but we also need to remember what that width and height is, because that's the aspect ratio we want to maintain for that window. So what I like to do, so I'm going to copy and paste this real quick and then bring it over into Dreamweaver and then paste it in between that div class image container and that closing div right there in between. So what I like to do is I like to look at this width, 560 by 315, and then I will come into Photoshop. So what I need to do is I need to know what that aspect ratio is. So if I'm going to limit the max width and the max height of that video, I need to know what those dimensions can be. And I could probably do a calculation here, but I think it's so much easier to leverage Photoshop to do this for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new image in Photoshop. And all I want to do is I just want to grab the dimensions. So I know it's 560, and I'm just going to really quickly double check, 560 by 315. So I'm going to make that new document. And in pixels, don't forget that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the largest size 1080 to kind of match, 1080i or 1080p resolution for video. So what I want to do is I want to go to my image size, and so to make sure that I'm keeping the aspect ratio correct, I'm going to type in 1080 into my image size. So now I know the height needs to be 608 pixels there. So I'm going to tab over and show you why I'm going to do this here. So I want to take out, I'm going to go ahead and type in those values so I don't forget. So if I make this 1080 and the height 608, I'm going to eventually delete these two values out, but for now I'm just going to leave those in there so I don't forget what those values are. So I'm going to come over to my my style sheet here. I'm going to locate that YouTube embed video that I used for the internship experience page, and there it is. That's what I was looking for. So we have the two different mobile and desktop screen versions. So I'm gonna start here and go .youtube. Can't type again today. YouTube embed. I'm going to call this one large. And for mobile screens, I'm going to say the width needs to be 100%. And then the height, I'm going to go ahead and keep it at that same 250 pixels as the small one. So those will look pretty much the same in mobile when you view it in mobile. But when we get to a large version, I'm going to go .youtube embed large. I'm going to try something and see if this is going to work. I'm not sure if it's going to. No, I'm not going to try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the max width here to 1080 pixels, and then the max height to 608 pixels. And I'm going to save that. And I'm going to test this out. We may need to make some adjustments to this, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay? I'm going to tab over to our DOM, to our source code, and then I'm going to take out what I just said earlier, the width and the height of that iframe. And then I'm going to delete back and move my cursor right after that iframe opening tag there. Hit the space bar and then type in class and then type in the YouTube embed large. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then we're going to preview. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like in a really large screen. And it seems like to me that it's really narrow. So before I jump and make an adjustment real quick though, I want to make sure that I switch over to the developer mode and test this out in a couple other spots. So I'm going to go to developer tools, and I want to look at this in a laptop view. So something 608 pixels just does not seem to be what I want it to do there. 1080 seems to be the right width though, but I think I want it to be a little bit taller. So maybe something went wrong there with my calculation. Let's go ahead and check it out with the Galaxy S5. So that works fine. That's what we want to see when we had it before. So I'm going to toggle back over to that, and then let's go ahead and check it out mid. So it works fine there. It's just the height. The height is not what I'm anticipating it to be. So I want to come back over and double check, make sure I didn't type something in right. And it looks like I got it okay. So let's try, instead of max height, let's just try height. And save that. Tab over. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So with the max height, it was limiting it there that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that and see how that looks in a really large screen. That's what I'd like it to be, just like that. Okay, perfect. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna click over back to the developer tool. Let's go ahead and double check one more time to make sure that my Galaxy S5 looks good still. Good. Bring that back over. Okay, and it's centered within my page. It's not filling that whole screen. It's not going to stretch it out as much. That's exactly what I'd like it to do. Okay, so in our next tutorial, we are going to put in this simple graphic right here with a description, and that should be a fairly simple, straightforward tutorial.